Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Got your coffee, got your tea. Marion, you got your water. You always have water. Oh,
Coffee this morning. It's raining.
it is. And apparently, maybe 100 feet away from my bedroom window, construction was starting on the parking lot at like 7:45. And I'm glad they're quiet now. But I'm like, what is this?
What are they refinishing it or retarring it or something?
Yeah, like I didn't notice any, like there was no potholes or anything, so I don't know what they're doing, but they were breaking up concrete. And now they're quiet. And I'm like, shouldn't you started that at like 10, not 7:45?
I think the in Ohio, I think it's 7.
Is it?
They have,
Ah,
yeah, I believe
I'll have to
so.
talk with whoever made that rule.
7 to 5. But most people don't complain about the night because if they're done till 6, 7, but in the morning, that's when people complain.
Right. Well, I was not a happy camper, but
Yeah. Well, in the last 2 weeks, somehow this house is, and I don't know why, we must be on a flight pattern from Hopkins
oh,
because the planes have over during the night. So I don't know. We've never had that here, so I don't know what's going on there.
oh, we got
Oh
a
well,
lot of mornings to catch up on.
I know it.
We
I
got
know.
a list. So hello, Rebecca and Deborah, Heidi, Melanie. We're part of her week. Yay, favorite. And Rebecca agrees. Hello, Amy, Helen, Patricia, and Patricia's joined us on Zoom a few times.
Yeah, she has.
Same with Karen. We have Robin. Oh, really, Melanie? Thank you. She plans her whole week around us. Yay. There we go. Laura Mar. Oh, keep scrolling. There's more. It's like jump. There's that many. Pam. Hey, Sandy, our friend Sandy. Hello. Just warmed my coffee. I know I probably should have made an extra one. I'm almost out. If I disappear,
You know where she's
like
gone to
10
get
feet
some
away,
more
making
coffee.
coffee again. Hey, Dana. We'll get to see Dana Sunday, hopefully, because you're going to be at the shop in person this coming
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah. About 4 to 6, we'll do a book signing and meet and greet and have all the stuff there. And then after that, there's a talk.
Oh, yeah. So if you already have your books, bring your books. You don't have to buy another copy.
Right,
Um,
right.
hello, Jackie. Um, oh, Melody says, "Hi, ladies. Just ordered some of your quinceads from my home, just like yesterday, which I am renting. So excited. We'll be on Zoom again to have you help me verify that it's clear."
Okay, Melody, the store called. The number you ordered were too short. We should be. I'll be making them Wednesday or Thursday, so hopefully you'll have them by Monday.
Um, let's see, Danielle, Sapphire. Oh, Southern drizzle in California. Seems to be raining everywhere.
Well, this is part of Fred, I think, the hurricane that we've got up here today.
I am so out of it. I didn't even know there was a Hurricane Fred.
There's 3 of them. They were 3 in a row there, lady. And I only know this because my sister lives in Florida on the one coast, so I'm always aware of that.
I don't have the local hookup for the news, and I go days without turning on the TV. So, oops.
TV's always on, but me sitting and watching it are two totally different things.
If it's on, it's a true crime documentary, is my background.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello, Sue, Denise. Hey, Lisa. Lisa's another one of our local friends. Lynette. Um, no, my apartment ghosts, neither one have came back. They can't get back. If you look really hard, you'll see my little seed up above the door because it's kind of laying up there. It's not taped. Only because I don't remember to do it. But it's up there. I can't go anywhere. Hello, Debbie, Christina. Lisa's looking for my seed. She's got her coffee. Tina, Judy. Like this whole morning might be become the hellos.
I know. Nobody's asking any questions.
Yeah. So if anybody is new, oh, hey, Divine. Yay. We still have to go to DC Lynette said she can't wait for it to be Sunday yet.
I mean, good.
Oh, and Sheena says, good morning, ladies. We all slept so well after you booted the cowboy ghost out again.
Makes a difference.
Hello to our friends in Solon. They're not too far away from us. Sue, yes, we will have some books at the store for you to purchase if you don't already have your own. But the only one I can't get is When Ghosts Speak in hardback. And the audio is still not back in stock yet at the warehouse, because I know some people like the audiobook. Let's see. Marisol, hello, Marisol. Laura, another one of our local friends. Let's see. So Divine Sue says, or Divine Woo says, Forensic Files is her go-to in cooking.
I keep the TV on all night just for noise, and that's usually what's on Forensic Files, or 48
hour or
48 hours.
The last
right. Right. Yeah. And so many of them are from Cleveland. I'm so surprised.
I know.
I know. It's like, that's not good. I wish they weren't, but they are. And I'm watching, I'm going, oh, geez, I know that detective. Oh, I know that house. Oh, boy. So,
Oh, hey, Jackie. So if there's any questions you have about earthbound spirits, negative energy, portals, feel free to type the questions in the comments. Marianne's going to answer them live. And I think we're finally getting into some questions here. So hello to everybody that we haven't gotten to yet. We're going to start looking for questions. So first question from Westie's Rule is like, I do have a question about the law of abundance. Is there a limit on what it can provide? I'm searching for a new job as my old job is rather miserable. Oh.
You can ask for anything or think of anything while you're writing out the check. Absolutely. And it's not always just for money. It can be for anything. I think, isn't Lewis looking for a guy?
He was. So he was going to draw a stick figure of a guy. And
Right. So everybody's got their own thing of what they want. And seriously, a vision board really does help if you've got one. And they're sort of fun to do. Just find a piece of, what are those big colored pieces of poster board? There you go, poster board. And go through some magazines. You know, you want a Corvette, you want a new job. You put it down on this board. And most people keep it inside their closet door so that when you open it up in the morning to get out whatever you're going to wear, you see it and you go, yep, that's the car. That's it in red. Just think about it. Put it out there. And you would just be surprised what you can get.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Linda says, good morning, ladies from Nevada. My plan is to get a bunch of zipper pulls, put them all over the entrances except my front door. Then to get on Zoom and have you confirm that my house is clear. Is this a good plan?
Yeah, that would work too. But you have to make sure that you do everything except.
Well, while we wait for her feed to catch up, I know we have had other people do similar. So that could be a good thing to do. But Marianne, at least on my end, you froze up a little bit there. Was that a good plan for her to do?
And you are freezing up now. You're jerky. You're blurry and jerky.
Oh, geez.
Now you are totally frozen. I don't know if you can even hear me. You want to send a message to Melissa, Ted? She's totally froze up. I can't hear anything.
Am I back?
Oh, you are? Okay, you're back.
Are we sure we don't have a ghost in here again?
I'm sure. And the Mercury retrograde doesn't start till next month, so we're good.
Mercury. So I'm going to default to any fairies that might be hanging around because they're always my scapegoat. Okay. So back to Linda's question.
Right.
Is that a good plan for her to?
That's not a bad plan. The only thing is make sure you cover everything, including attic doors, fireplaces, and if you have a well and not city water. And the door you don't want to cover is the one that you use most of the time. I mean, don't cover the one you use all the time and then use the front and leave the front door open when nobody uses it. So make sure and yeah, that's a plan for sure. Another thing to do after you get all them up where you think they should go, smudge. Do a double whammy and let's see if that does it.
There we go.
And in all honesty, I mean, the zipper pulls are terrific, but the dream bags are cheaper. Just telling you. I mean, there's
And
a
you're gonna have
season.
a first batch coming.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you buying all the zipper pulls, but save yourself a few bucks. I know.
That's
I'm
not
going
how
to get
business
yelled
runs.
at by somebody in particular because of that. And that's not somebody I live with.
Uh-oh.
No, it's
I can vouch for this, and yes, they can mess with garage door openers.
very easily. Beside hiding them, they can really wreck a garage door, let me tell you. All
And
of
they
a
can
sudden,
open your garage door at will all the time.
jumps off track, or it won't go up or down, or somehow it gets unplugged. And they have to be plugged in to work.
Your little sensors are moved off, to where, because like I was having the problem for a while where the door would come down and almost be down, and then it would just go back up over.
Back up.
And the one little sensor would just be shifted just enough. And then for that little while, right before I moved out, with all of the change in the house and the fun that is that land and that town and that house, having the door would just come open all the time. I'm like, I know I closed that door. And I'm like, Nikki, she's like, it was closed.
No, that is. And the problem is, think about it. You have a significant other that you're living with, and maybe 2 or 3 kids, maybe 10, 11, 15, 16. You never know what the kids are going to do. Why would you ever blame a ghost? You're going to blame it on the kid. It's so much easier.
Right.
But not all the time.
No. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, I think Rune was, visiting his dad. So I'm like, it was me, her, and then pets. And I'm like,
Pets aren't doing it yet.
Yeah. Sid
Not
doesn't
yet.
care about that remote up there.
No, one little bit. Did he relax now that you're in the house? Is he doing better? Or is he still hiding?
What? He's kind of, we can.
He's sleeping. He's laying there. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's a loaf of bread. Okay.
He is. He's doing his loaf of bread. So he's always somewhat near, but he's not yet back to his hold me, pet me all the time. He's still kind of like pet me and then I'm going to walk away. So, but he's relaxing out. But he's always got to be in the room with me or my son if I'm not home. So he's a big scaredy cat still that way. He's not going to go be brave by himself somewhere else. So the cookbook will be available on Sunday.
Anybody that buys a cookbook even gets a bookmarker.
Oh, do you still have the bookmarks still? Okay.
Yeah, they just for the cookbooks though. So
okay. Let's see. So our next question is, it says, Marianne, my daughter is wondering if a ghost can project themselves differently than how they really look. Like, can they look like a monster instead of an old lady?
No, they cannot. But don't forget, they're pure energy. So it's how you are seeing them, not how they're presenting themselves. That's why sometimes they look like a shadow person or, a little volcano or a little twisty or a slash of light. So it's how you perceive them, but they do not change their looks. No, not at all.
Lewis is in the house. Hello, Lewis.
Morning in America.
Right. Lewis, we were talking earlier, and are you actually in school for fashion and design? I know we've kind of talked and hinted, but is that what you're actually in school for? Brooke, now remember when we were talking about all the crazy stuff in Ohio? And honestly, I think I read somewhere where there may be another active killer in central Ohio that they're kind of starting to take a look at. But Brooke says there's always a lot of cookie stuff in Florida too. Whenever a crazy news story starts, I'm always hoping that it doesn't take place in Florida or isn't a Florida man, Florida woman. Spoil
I
alert,
don't
they
think,
almost always
right. Well, you can hide so easy in Florida. I mean, it's, it's warm. You can go anywhere. You're not caught by weather so much in Florida. Oh, well, the hurricanes now, yeah. But, other than that, but I don't think any city enjoys the notoriety if they've got a serial killer in their midst.
right. Well, it's kind of like what the Cleveland area, our lakes on fire, blah blah blah. We still haven't lived that down.
That never goes away. Never.
So never mind that we have like Michael Simon, all this other good stuff. It's the burning Lake Erie anthing so well, that always overshadow everything else.
Which mayor said his hair on fire? I mean, Perk, maybe? I think it was Perk.
I don't remember that one.
His hair on fire. Yeah, Cleveland is the big butt of jokes, but Cleveland has the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Nobody else, but we have that.
So we have to share inductions with, what is it, New York, every
every other year, but that's okay. We've been to that. We're members, so we've been to that a number of times. And in all honesty, you can see more watching it from your living room on TV.
You're going to be way more comfortable. I would be, than a crowd.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hello to Johnny, Utah. Amy says, can they make toys go off by themselves when no one's in there?
Yes, they can. Absolutely. A relative had a baby. My sister actually had a little girl, and this is true. She had an attached garage, and she pulled her car into the garage, and she closed the garage door, and the baby was about 7-8 months old and had fallen asleep in the car seat in the back. So she thought, oh, the baby's sleeping. I'm going to run in and put the groceries in the house. And so she opened the trunk, got 2 bags of groceries, opened the door to go into the house, and every toy that could be turned on was on in the living room. The top was spinning. The mobile was moving around. The kid just turned 30. So 30 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, no cell phone, no nothing. So she just quietly shut the front door, went back into her car, put the groceries back in, got back in the car, garage door up, and went to a pay phone and called me. I was living in Worcester at the time. Called me and she said, I'm going to kill you. Do I have a ghost in my house? I said, yeah, you do. She goes, I'm your sister. Why didn't you tell me? I says, because you never asked. I was driving back up to Cleveland that night to get rid of the ghost in the house. But he wasn't hurting the baby. And if he had been hurting the baby, I would have said something. But that's one of my hard, fast rules. You don't ask, I don't tell you.
Guys, she won't even tell me unless I ask.
Tell the kids.
She's like, would you hurry up and ask me? And I'm like, I'm not, just say. She's like, I'm never going to do that. So it's a hard line that you stand on, man. Right.
I try to hint. Is there anything else you want to know? No, I'm fine.
You're like, are you going to ask me already? And I'm like, well, that's the point of this morning's live.
Right.
So Debbie says, have you heard of Summer Wells, missing 5-year-old? Do you see where she is? She's been missing 56 weeks.
Oh, Wells. Is that the singer from Royalton? I didn't know her daughter was missing, if that's who it is. I don't know anything of that case. I have not been called in on it. So I don't know. Oh, I hope that's not here. That's sad. Gosh, I don't know. But I've never been called in for it, so I don't know. The only thing is, people have to remember something. If they're calling me up asking me about a missing person, if that person is standing behind you and is a ghost, I'm going to tell you that too. So you got to think about, do you want an answer or don't you? Because yeah, if they're standing behind you, then they are not living anymore. So
Pat says, based on their clothing or perhaps what they told you, who is the oldest earthbound spirit you've encountered? Any spirits that passed away hundreds of years ago?
yeah, and for anybody that's ever been to one of the events, the oldest spirit that I've run across, a lot of them from the 1800s, but the earliest one that I ever ran across was one of Shakespeare's daughters, the twin. She was actually from London in England. And so I didn't even know. I don't even think I knew he had kids, let alone twins. So that's the oldest one that I've ever run across. And she did cross over.
Oh, we got a lot of people in comments talking about how their garage doors have opened, come unplugged.
Well, that's the same thing. Think about it. Why is the remote always missing for the TV? Okay, you got 3 kids. That could answer it. But if you don't, you're going to blame your husband or your wife all the time? And, the TV going steady or the computer not working. I mean, if I haven't touched it and it's not working, there's a reason. If I touch it, that's the reason. But if I'm not touching it, there's something else going on.
You are not a fan of electronics.
Anything, a vacuum cleaner, irons. We were married. I couldn't understand why I'm going through a vacuum cleaner every 3 or 4 months. I killed a Kirby vacuum cleaner. Those are supposed to last 40 years. Anything with electric in it doesn't work for me.
This is why Ted carries everything.
He vacuums. I still iron, but not his stuff. But I don't vacuum anymore. I mean, I was using an electric knife the other day, and the blades literally blew off of it while it was on. And I'm thinking,
I'm surprised you didn't bothered with it.
I just killed an electric knife, and I wasn't even trying.
Like, why did you try? You knew what was going to happen.
I didn't like it anyway. So
here now I don't feel bad about throwing it out.
Right. But the trouble is, apparently they don't make electric knives anymore. So they're not common. They're hard to find apparently. So
let's see. So Rebecca wants to know, how many spirits can hang out in church? Can they be enticed into the white light with each funeral?
Yes, because when there is a funeral mass going on, the spirit is there with their white light, and anybody that is stuck and in the church can absolutely use that light. Still their choice whether they want to or not, but they can absolutely do that. That's why besides leaving a note and saying, who's ever here, if you want to cross over, go to the nearest funeral home. You could also put down, or a church that has a funeral service going on, and use the white light. Yes, that is definitely one way that they can go. And some churches are absolutely full of ghosts. And it's just not Catholic churches. It's all denominations.
All of them. So Lewis said, I just finished reading When Ghosts Speak, and I love the little description of you and Ted and how you first met. It was so sweet. Said it sounded very familiar to Melinda's story of the young woman with this gift trying to navigate her life with her husband. So was that part related to you? Was that one of the few true parts?
They drained my brain for 6 weeks before they even wrote the first script. And and to this day, people believe Ted was a paramedic. Never. They believe I had an antique store. Never.
Nope. Dog grooming business, right?
No. And in all honesty, that would have been a big fallacy, because her having an antique store, anything that would have been attached to it or negative energy would have driven her crazy. The other thing that they never did on Ghost Whispers, that they never showed her making the white light, which really aggravated me for 5 years, because I wish that they had done that, but they said it would have been too hard to do for every week. So yeah, whatever. But no,
back
there,
then.
and the grandmother talking to her in the beginning of every show at the casket. That's exactly, my grandmother would stand there with me. So a lot of that was all true. Yeah.
So has any earthbound spirits ever shared about traveling to another planet?
No. No, I don't believe so. The only person that I know that's ever traveled to another planet is my husband when he astroplanes. I don't know anybody else.
And since he can't see earthbound spirits, he can't tell if they're there, right?
That's exactly right.
Marianne, we need you to go on a planet travel. Let us know what you find when you come back.
I have to think about that one. I know what we have on Earth. I don't know what we, and yet there was life forms. I don't know if he actually saw any life forms, because he worked in factories and he did work when he went to these other planets. So there was life on it. But did he go to Venus or Pluto, or where did he go? Which galaxy? I don't know.
That's always the hard thing. My friend Kayla, who does a lot of planetary like work and healing, and she's like, some of these planets, like there is no English pronunciation, or like we can't form the name of their race or their planet. And I'm like, I can't even like fathom that. Like they say in science, there's colors we can't see. So how can you even imagine what you can't see?
I think that's why, if you do it mentally, I don't think there's that big of a barrier, because I don't know if well, it's like me understanding somebody talking in a foreign language. Where does it translate that it sounds like English in my head? I don't know.
Right. With that like Google Translate going on in your head.
Right. I don't know I don't know how. It's like my brain can really do that. Okay.
Lewis trying to stir the pot says, were you your grandma's favorite compared to your siblings?
Well, of course I was the favorite. I was the first one born and the oldest one, and born on my grandfather's birthday. Of course I was the
same thing.
Naturally.
Siblings watch this. Are you going to get phone calls later?
A couple of I know my children do watch it on occasion. My sisters, well, maybe the one in Florida does, but my sisters are so over me. No.
Heidi says, I've been on Zoom. I've smudged call 3 times in the past 6 to 8 months. One from my car. Are my calls being blocked? And it sounds like it. If you're not.
No, Heidi, I have not gotten a call from you. Do me a favor, before you get off, give Melissa your phone number, and she can give it to me when this is over, because I don't even know, with all the papers I have in there, I wouldn't even know where to look for your phone number at. So
don't put it in the comments.
No.
Send an email to goddesselitellc@gmail.com. That way, I'm the only one seeing your phone number till I pass it to Marianne. Not everybody in the YouTube universe will have your phone number. Let's do that.
That'd be the only way I'm going to get it.
So Gina says, Marianne, I plan on buying a house, but I want to make sure there are no spirits hanging around from previous owners. What can I do?
A lot of houses that I've done, when people do move, they will not even buy a house without, as they're walking through or the realtor is showing it to them, they're on the phone with me. Is this house okay? Should I buy it? Buy whatever you want. It can be fixed. So don't stop because of negative energy or earthbound spirits. The house can be fixed, whatever it is. There's only very few houses that I can think of that we've had problems, one thing after another. And and Melissa, that would be your house that you don't live in anymore. So
Yeah, all of the typical do these things. Just
didn't work with your house. So
no, that was a very stubborn plot of land.
yes, yes.
I'm out.
Yes, you are.
Michelle says, my brother passed away 24 years ago, and my sister passed away 7 months ago. I haven't had a dream of either one. Would a dream bag help me? I'm heartbroken.
24 years ago, I would question that. And it's hard because I don't know how he died. If he died expectedly, then I'm surprised you haven't had a dream of him. If it was an unexpected death, you sound like you're young, so he must have been fairly young when he died. And so that could be a problem. But it's at least 6 months before somebody has a dream of somebody for the first time, and it could take up to 2 years. So I wouldn't worry about the second person yet. Your brother, though, I would check with other family members, friends, see if anybody's had a dream of him. Just because you haven't doesn't mean that somebody else hasn't. And it could be one of these things that he has crossed over, but he's afraid you'd be too upset if you saw him in a dream. So he is avoiding you. So it could be a number of things.
So we have a couple questions, and they're almost back to back. And what is funny is like one's Facebook, one's YouTube. Heather says, speaking of the Rock Hall, have you had any memorable encounters with rock star spirits? And then Lisa says, do you know if Alan Freed would hang out around the Rock and Roll? His ashes were there, but have since been moved to Lakewood or Lakeview Cemetery.
Yeah. The only person that I ever ran across, I wanted to run across so many of the stars and the performers, but no, none of them were there. But I did run across, and I'm dragging my feet here because I can't remember her name. The older lady that was for the Plain Dealer, the rock and roll. She went to everything. She knew everybody. Her spirit was there. And I think she died in her 80s. There was no way she was leaving. That was her life, rock and roll. And Ted, do you remember that lady's name?
Jane something.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Jane something, whatever her last name was. I see he's got his phone now.
Is he Googling?
We might get an answer here. We don't know. But she was there. There were people there that were technicians, people that did lighting, people that were sound people, a couple disc jockeys that I actually knew. But Jane, you'll find it. She was the one in she always, whenever you met her or she had a talk or you were around her, she always definitely carried the conversation. And she's dead and she still carries the conversation. Hasn't changed one little bit. Yeah.
Well,
Ted found it.
Oh,
Ted found it. Jane Scott.
I was starting to Google for it.
Okay. Yep. He found her.
Inquiring minds. So Lewis does study fashion.
Okay, good.
There's still room on the 30th, Lewis.
I was just going to say, so that means you're coming on the 30th, right? Oh, I don't think so.
Put him on the spot.
There's still room on the 30th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
We have 19 out of 25, so there's still a few spots. Do you have any good school ghost stories since we have our kiddos going back?
I'm just going to tell you, listen to your kids. If your kids come home and they are saying that they see stuff or they feel stuff, or listen to them. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Schools are full of kid ghosts, and adult ghosts don't hang around together, but kid ghosts do. The kids like kids, whether they're alive or dead. So, and they will try to interact with the live children. So if your kids are saying that they're absolutely seeing something there, they probably are. And keep this in mind too. Yeah, I believe that. Keep this in mind too, is that these kids still need energy too. So if they can, get your kid in trouble at school, or the teacher's yelling at them where it stresses the kids out, or they make the kids not feel good, they are getting energy from that. So pay attention to your kids.
Let's see. So, this is a good question from Patrick that you and I have talked about before, like the difference. Patrick says, Marianne, have you ever seen a ghost who repeats the same thing over and over and over at a certain time? Some people say these aren't like ghosts, but more of psychic impressions from the past. Is that real?
No, it is real that the ghosts are repeating. They're just repeating ghosts. They're very popular in the castles in Europe, where when people go spend overnight, they hear the chains rattling and banging and walking and moaning and groaning in the hallways. And it's the same thing every night. It would be like the same thing that happens here on the battlefields when the soldiers, when they do the reenactments. There are the soldiers reenacting Gettysburg, but then their soldier goes standing right behind them. And it's the same thing every time there's a, reenactment. So no, it is not a psychic impression. They really are there. And they think it's their job. They're not interested in crossing over. They think it's their job to do.
So you and I talked earlier before going live about having Ted join you at some point.
Oh, boy.
And Deborah says, would Ted consider talking to us about his experiences in astral travel?
I'll ask him. See what he thinks about it.
Well, he said we couldn't afford him. So
yeah, that's what he said. But sometimes perks are good.
Lewis wants to know if you took any pictures from the fashion week and can you put them out there? And he had please written really big. I can't find it because there's something going on, but
in all honesty, I do not carry a camera with me. And of course I don't have a cell phone. And all the cameras that I would have to, could you see me taking a picture at Fashion Week with the disposable camera that I can take 3 pictures and then it dies? No, so it doesn't work. Can't do it.
Oh, and it's funny, Divine. I was actually thinking this too, and I'm like, that could be an episode on the podcast.
Yeah, what we should save Ted for the podcast. Oh, that was a look. Okay.
Well, we're gonna have to bribe him, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
So what's the best outfit you've ever seen a spirit wearing?
Oh, golly. There have been some beautiful outfits, especially if somebody was in a business that required dressing up. Like if I do these really old mansions, I don't know, every town has that strip of old houses that, like in Cleveland, they're called Millionaires Row. Every city has something like that. And those houses usually have, and I don't know if there's so much fancy as time period. You don't see somebody walking nicely down the steps, holding a cigarette in a case that sticks out a foot, coming down the steps with a bustle in her back. So, but they're interesting, if nothing else.
I always wonder, you see this meme around online, it's been a little bit, but where it's like people sitting around telling ghost stories and the ghost is standing over the shoulder. And it's like, I never said that. That's not how it went down.
You know how many ghosts tell me that when I go to a funeral? They've got that picture. That's not Joe. That's Jim. What's wrong with these people? They don't even know the cousins. Oh, they talk about things being wrong all the time.
So, yeah. I've always wondered when I joke about like, I'll hang around a little bit before I go over. I'm like, what kind of stories are going to be?
Oh, and some of them are good, and some of them. Oh, and I've already been to a funeral where they're telling stories, and the ghosts say, "Tell them what happened when I fell off the horse." I said, "He wants the story told about when he fell off the horse." Oh, that was a good one. And then they start. So yeah, they like to hear stories about themselves. Sometimes they do.
Or Patrick says maybe Ted would do a Zoom instead.
I don't know. He sits in the living room, being close by in case I need him for the computer. But no, some of the questions he just shakes his head and just no. I don't think so.
So what you're saying is we would have to follow him around and hope we would get something and then look it all together. Okay. All right.
I'm debating seriously. I'm debating if he's going to be on YouTube with me tonight because of all the questions that are coming in. I've gotten 2 letters about everybody wants to know all this very, 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 very personal information about us. And I'm debating what we're going to do with that yet. I better make up my mind.
You got a couple hours.
Yeah, I know.
So Amy wants to know if they come out on the 22nd, can they take pictures?
You can. You're better off bringing pictures for me to look at to see if I can see anything. But yeah, I may have a mask on if that's what you're thinking. And there are no ghosts in Melissa's store. So if you're trying to take a picture of that, it's not going to work. But people do like to, for whatever reason, like to take a picture with me. And like I said, depending, I may have a shield on or a mask, but I don't know.
Lois says we should have Mary Ann, Ted, and Tara talking about their experiences and have the other daughter provide the snacks. I can see.
He just wants to have a party, doesn't he?
He does, and I'm thinking, I'm like, sibling rivalry fight much?
Yeah, and that would happen too. Let me tell you. They get along famously now because they live in 2 different states. Yeah, exactly. And if my children are listening today, you think I can roll my eyes? Ha!
I know, I tell people, I'm like, I have to perfect Marianne's eye roll. Like, it is
my girls are so good at it. So good at it.
So we have Shayna and Melody both like write another book.
I have them in my head. Nobody's buying books now. Only if you're a huge, huge author. Stephen King and Michelle Obama and Prince Harry. And I'm not in those categories one little bit.
His name just went out of my head. I used to talk so much crap about him. The mystery writer who puts out a book a month, and I'm like, there's no way he's doing it.
Ted reads all his books.
Not Grisham, not
that author you read all his books. He puts out a book a month.
Kiss the Girls and the Ladies Murder Club, and what is his name?
Which one's that? Clive Cussler he likes. That's not the one.
No, because now this guy
Patterson.
Yes.
James Patterson.
I'm like, there's no way.
You know what?
Himself.
Besides signing his name, he's got so many people working for him. I don't know how many of those he actually writes.
Not many. But you know what? It's working for him. So
that's right. Good for him.
Well, Marianne, we're going to have to investigate self-publishing. Through Amazon.
I've got the one book out there. Well, I've got 2 that were self-published. All the rest were published, and I've got 1 electronic book out there. But I just can't get into this electronic book thing. Self-publishing, yeah, I could do that again. Think about it.
I think Amazon, they have a way of not only the digital but print.
Yeah, everybody does it now.
Yeah. Oh, good question. Can Tara use computers?
Oh, yeah, she's absolutely. My oldest daughter is a computer genius. So Yeah, no. I mean, that's one of her degrees is in one of that. So no, it's just mom. That's no good.
That's, you kept all the crazy to yourself. You didn't pass
Which
all of
is
that.
good. I didn't pass it
Right.
on, right? So I was a good mother.
So Divine, and I'm sure others want to know, what is the title for the electronic book? You don't remember your own title?
Dad, what's the title of the electronic book? Do you know? Ghost Worlds. Ghost World, I believe. And there was supposed to be 2 sequels to that, which are done, by the way.
Now, isn't
But
this the young adult one?
yes, yes, it is. It is.
Let's see. And somebody suggested like your next book should be like client stories, which you would probably have to change the names to protect the innocent, all that fun stuff.
Well, and if you've read my other books, not the fiction books, but if you've read When Ghosts Speak and As Alive So Dead, most of those were cases. So that was already actually done.
Okay. Let's see. What time are we at? Because I know you've got a tight schedule this morning.
Yeah, we've got time yet. We have about 10 minutes.
Let's see. Lewis says, my mother always told me it hasn't been a successful day if you haven't stirred the pot at least once.
Oh, well, then you're going to have a real good day today, Lewis.
Scrolling here to see if I missed any questions. There was a question if any of your kids have your gifts, and Tara does. So one half of your offspring.
Figures.
Right. Oh, here we go. Do you have any information about the Anunnaki as a possible offline to get more info from you?
I have no idea what that is. Do you know, Melissa?
Very, very little bit. So, and depending on where you read, the Anunnaki, pretty much created humans as like slaves to mine gold, that they needed gold because their planet was depleted. And that one of the Anunnaki, I don't remember their names, kind of stood up for humans, kind of felt bad. And yeah. But they are the ones, and it's funny because I think it was one of the Exorcist movies. They used one of the images from the Anunnaki, but it's kind of like that. They're not angels, but they're human-esque, and they have these wings. But like one's always carrying a pail, and everybody points out, like, look, it's got a watch. Why would they put a watch on a wrist? Way back when, on relief drawings on sides of canyons and stuff. So. I haven't delved into it. It's always been like a chunk that's come up in passing with something else. So
I don't think my brain could take much more.
Melanie says, more books, please, more books. Let's see. Oh, so do you have any extended family that can do what you do?
We have no grandchildren, and no, none of my nieces. They're very tuned in. They're aware of extra energy and that type of thing, but none of them can do exactly what I or what Tara does. Nobody that I know of.
So Deborah says, wish you could write about the curses on the Cleveland sports teams, but I understand the privacy issues.
Yeah, that's for sure too.
Maybe if you're in touch with any of those players, be like, hey, can we mention this? And podcast episode.
But the funny thing is this, and not the Browns, but I'll use the Indians, because there are so many Spanish, South American, other than white, and they are very, very, very superstitious anyway. And that is something that I do not believe that they would, talk about. And I think that's why I probably been to so many of their houses, is that because I don't talk about it.
Mhm.
And so, and and I would try to keep that, even for, because a lot of the players that I've done work for don't even play for us anymore or are retired. I still wouldn't really use their names. Mm-mm.
Geezer says my brother writes a book a year and does quite well in both written and electronics. So maybe looking at different publishers. There's been some smaller publishing companies kind of popping up, but it's
Okay,
really
there's a publishing company, and you probably know which one it is, Melissa. It's Cleveland Publishing Company. I think it's Gray, maybe. They do most of the Cleveland authors.
yeah, and I think they're the same ones that do like all of those little books for all of the different cities too that have the sepia toned vintage.
Right. When they got one of my inquiries, and they wanted to see a couple chapters, and I sent it to them, and they didn't have that 3 days, and they called me. Absolutely, we'll give you the book, that here's the advance, blah 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 blah. But their thing was, and because they were cases, which, like I said before, most of the stories in When Ghosts Speak and As Alive So Dead are cases. They needed to know the name and the address of every person I did that was going to be in the book. No, 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 no. So Hachette out of New York was way better than them.
Right.
So there are definitely, just like the one that's out of California that does all the woo-woo books, all the tapes, authors that can't get big publishers anymore, we usually go to them. But where a regular publisher gives you so much per every book sold, when your uh, advance is met, let's put it that way, you get pennies on what they sell. They keep the most of it, the people from California. So it's a tricky business. It truly is.
It is. I having been in the book industry, but just as the seller, not an author but you still hear, stories. And like when we used to have the Christmas reset, Borders would send all of the store managers out in the PA, and we'd have to sit there for like 3 or 4 days, slideshow after slideshow of what the stores needed to look like. Here's the new books. And a lot of the publishers would send out reps with tables of all the free, upcoming. And so we'd all come back with like all these books. But at dinner time, to sit there and either have one of those reps at your table or the authors themselves and just those little side stories. And you're like, oh, damn.
Well, the big publishing houses brought me in to New York, Chicago. Let's see, New York, Chicago, Denver. They sent me to those things that you had to attend, so that the authors could schmooze the managers or the people that own the stores, to put your display in the front of the store, or your display in the big window, and say, oh yeah, I'll come back out, I'll do a book signing for you. So yeah, it's a racket, it's a business. That's what it is. It's a business.
It is. As much as they are enjoyable to read, that back end can, if you overthink it, it can kind of ruin the whole thing. Lewis has a really good question. Everybody has good questions, but this one, I think, given the sign and times that we're in, says, I know you said people are the same when they are dead, but do they change with the newfound clarity of the afterlife? Have you come across a homophobic or racist spirit, or is that let go when they die?
No, their personality is still the same. And I have had, I've done houses of other types of, lives that people have that don't like the lifestyle, and they're giving those people, like if it's a gay couple, or they're giving those people all kinds of grief because they don't believe in it. So, oh no, 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 no. If they were still a racist and everything when they were alive, until they go to the light, they are still identically the same way. Oh my gosh, this one guy's house that I did, he was such a tattletale on this guy. It was unbelievable. And he would try to scare him. Well, he did scare him a lot. And the guy would run out of the house and run across the street and sit on the front porch of his neighbor until his significant other would come home, because he would be afraid to go in the house by himself. So they finally had me out. And this guy definitely had his priorities, what was in the Bible and what wasn't in the Bible. And he said, well, they're not telling you the truth. Look under the bed and you should see what's under their bed. Like, I'm going to go in the bedroom and look under somebody's bed. I don't think so. And I said, nah, it's not important. And so I said to the guys, I said, why does he want me to look under your bed? And they both just looked at each other. And I said, don't worry, I'm not going to look under your bed. To this day, I don't know what was under the bed. I don't want to know what was under the bed. As long as it wasn't a ghost, I don't care what was under the bed. So, but oh no. They are, and they think, these people think everybody believes like they believe. So
yeah, As Alive, So Dead. We have that one available, so that one will be at the store Sunday.
That was one of the books that I self-published way back when. I sold it out of the trunk of the car. When I would talk at libraries, I would sell it myself, and that was one. And it actually, it was sort of funny when Ghost.
Oh, you want me to go get your little magazine things?
When Go Speak came out, I was sitting around in New York with this big table with 15 people on. It was people from all the different, we're going to do this with we're going to do this kind of advertising. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I'm just sort of sitting there nonchalantly listening, saying, okay, yes, we can do that. And then one of them would say, well, do I have anybody attached to me? So we'd go through that. And I just very quietly, I said, I have a self-published book. Can I keep selling that? And I had just ordered 400 copies that were piled in my living room in boxes. And the one person on this side of me said, oh, yeah, it's self-published. Don't worry about it. I said, okay. But then somebody on that side of the table said, well, wait a minute. Where do you sell them at? I said, well, when I do a talk, I take them with me. I said, I've done book signings, and the store managers bought the books from me and let me bring my own in, which most of the bookstores back then would do that, not anymore. And yeah. And so he says, well, okay. He says, well, how many do you sell? And now I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking, I said, in a year, in a month, what do you want to know? It's like, I'm thinking, what am I going to say here? I'm thinking, I have 400 books sitting in my living room. What am I going to say? And this was spring, and the book was coming out in the fall. And he said, I says, he says, in a month. I said, 150, 200 maybe? He said, how many? I said, 150 or 200. He says, that many? I said, they're cheap. And he's, well, what else? And he said, oh, no, absolutely not. And I says, no. I just ordered 400 of them. Don't tell me I can't sell them. Mm-hmm. And he said, you can sell them up to 6 weeks before this one comes out. I said, fine. But then after 6 or 7 years. I thought, baloney. So, and that's why I started them up again. But no, it's crazy the way that works.
Yeah, it's the cattiness back and forth between the publishers, and it's not like you took When Ghosts Speak, change the title slightly, put a foreword, it's the same book, and trying to compete against it,
That's right. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So like I said, it's a crazy business.
All right, well, we're right at 11.
Here we go.
So there were questions about how to join, how to register for Sunday. So here you go. Notice it says Spirited Evening in person. That's the one that's in store.
Nobody under 18. You can bring the kids in before to meet me, and I'll talk to them, but not for the talk.
And if you want to get on the Zoom, so let's clarify real quick. In person, Marianne cannot tell you if there's something in your house because you're not in your house. Everybody's in Goddess Elite. So she can't tell you what's in your house, but you can ask questions of anything.
Or if you have a curse on you or negative energy, I will be able to see that in the store, but not any ghosts.
So if you want to join a Zoom to find out what's going on in your house, this is the one to sign up with. This one works for any of the dates. We're going to be releasing September dates soon, but we still have about 6 spaces available for Monday the 30th. Zooms always starts at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We welcome anybody. We love having people from around the world. Just please be mindful of the time change. And join us. We always try to do new people first. Everybody gets to ask 2 questions. We ask that you keep them kind of short. Don't go into long backstories, just because other people are waiting patiently to ask and have their time with Marianne as well. It is limited. So please don't call me and go, why can't I sign up for the 13th? Well, because there's no spaces available. That's why. It's automatic. The system does it for me. Please make sure you type your email in correctly. It will automatically send a registration confirmation with your Zoom link to the email you put in. So make sure that's correct before you hit, go. We can go in there and fix it, but if it's a busy day running around, then I have to get away from all the noise and the hubbub, go find your email, fix it, resend it. So just make sure everything's correct before you do that. Marianne, you got your Wednesday 5:30 coming out later. That happens every Wednesday too.
5:30, yeah. Yes, I think we're good.
Yeah. Oh, good point, Brooke. Thank you. Brooke is helping be our hype man. Please add a thumbs up to the video. Thank you. And this is actually streaming on both of our channels at the same time. So there's different content on both. So if you're on the store page, Marianne is literally Marianne Winkowski. If you're on Marianne's page, just search for Goddess Elite New Age. The store logo pops up. We got a lot of last minute questions. The more tidy your room is, the less chance evil spirits like to crash, stalk your room, or live.
Nope, not at all. As a matter of fact, if your room is not tidy and it stresses you out, that's even more right they're going to be there.
There we go. I always wondered about hoarder houses, and maybe that'll be what we start with the next week, hoarder, houses.
Or something.
Yeah, I do say it kind of cramps the energy, but I don't think it's necessarily a magnet to bring it, but it does affect you, especially in my opinion, if you're somebody with depression and stuff anyway, it kind of exacerbates it.
And I think most hoarders are singletons. I think most hoarders actually live alone. I've been to some houses where it's a husband and wife, but most hoarders are single. And so if they're going to have a ghost, it's going to be usually just one. Because who else? They'd make them a wet noodle if it was more than one. So,
right. All right. Well, that's our last question. Maybe we'll start that off as our next topic. But thank you, everybody. Join us next Wednesday at 10. Bring your coffee, bring your tea, and join us. Invite friends. All right,
Try to
guys.
come out on Sunday. We'll see everybody then.
Yes, in person.
Yay. Okay. Bye-bye.